My name is Manavi Handa. I'm a professor in the midwifery education program here at Ryerson, and I've been practicing midwifery for 10 years. So basically, hospital privileges are that each hospital has the capacity to maintain a certain number of births between the obstetricians, family doctors, and midwives. And so when they reach their capacity or in terms of funding, they'll cap the number of practitioners that can work there. I think as midwifery becomes more integrated and hospitals understand better how midwives work, it'll be less of an issue. And I don't really think in terms of big picture and long-term planning, it will really affect the ability of our graduates to get work in the province. Okay. So the number of midwives that the province of Ontario can support is probably unlimited because the demand for midwifery has always far exceeded the supply. The number of birthing women in Ontario is going up, and the number of caregivers in obstetrics and family practice is really going down. So we're kind of the only caregivers in obstetrics that are rapidly growing in number. So, I mean, for the foreseeable future, there's probably no limit to what the province can support. I think freestanding birth centers, I think, are a great idea. I think there's a lot of support in the midwifery community. It's come up several times. There's been ideas of public funding, private funding, joint funding. I think it's a great opportunity potentially for midwives who might want to work a little bit differently or in a little bit of a different model. You could perhaps, one of the ideas out there is have midwives who are constantly at the birth center who do something similar to shift work. Or, a group of midwives that are kind of the core midwives at the birth center and then other midwives that come in and out. I think in terms of career, it really opens up the doors in terms of teaching and interdisciplinary teaching, so teaching family doctors and residents who want to do low-risk obstetrics. I think it could be a great teaching center and, promote people's career in teaching as well as their career as midwives. And I think it's a whole other opportunity for birthing women out there. So if you want to be a teacher or a faculty member in the midwifery education program, I would respond to the call-outs we have to have people participate in workshops and teaching. You need to get a graduate degree and you need to have a few years of clinical experience. So setting up practices in rural areas is a challenge for many healthcare givers in terms of large geographical distances, backup support. There are some supports in place. So there are different kind of incentives and funding to support people who want to practice in rural areas. The Association of Ontario Midwives is looking into this even further to look at how to further support. And I think one of the big areas provincially that need to be explored is interdisciplinary or collaborative practice models. So you can have a midwife and a family doctor sharing call, or you can have an obstetrician or a midwife sharing call. And I think that's one of the ways to kind of retain practitioners and support practitioners in rural areas in general. A couple of certifications that are really useful to get if you want additional skills is to be an emergency skills workshop instructor through the Association of Ontario Midwives, a CPR instructor, or an NRP instructor. So tips to get through your first birth experience. One is just really go in to observe everything and be with the woman as much as possible. But there's things that you might not think of ahead of time, like, make sure you have access to food or bring food with you. You want to be well nourished and hydrated. Have some cash on hand in case you need to get stuff from a vending machine. And I think it's a really good idea to take a journal or a diary because it's just, you forget. Once you've gone to a few hundred births, you really, forget parts of that first birth, and it's such an amazing experience. And be open to whatever happens. So I think it's really important for students in the program to kind of retain their enthusiasm and remember the things about midwifery that make it such a great profession. And I think they're in a really lucky position that almost all of our graduates do get work. And so it's an important thing to remember that even though there might be angst about where am I going to find work, will I find it in the area that I want to, that it often works itself out, and that students should be pretty excited about the fact that they're in a new career that's really well supported.